this session, we have given rethinking urban future, integrating housing, mobility, and private residence. So in that broad area, we just open up to the speakers to share their ideas, experience, perspectives. So anybody let go.
You can start.
You want a mic or?
No, I think you can hear clear, right? Yeah. For VN5s, we are currently working not in different, not in same office. We joined our office together after our schooling, so we know each other very well. And we have been in the government service for about we have the history. So after that, I have gone into in-depth studies of sustainable development architecture, and the current situation in the Maldives is very focused on housing. The perspective of when we think academically, the hypothesis doesn't really meet what we are trying to do. With our urbanization and densification, people are very focused in the central area. We still kind of. So the problem here we are having is, one is climate adaptation, which is, I think most of the students know by now. We have flooding, sea swells, heavy rain, torrential rains. So these climate change resilience incorporated in designs, how we can improve our development together with resilience to the climate. And when we think of that, in Malé urbanization, in Malé, we call Greater Malé area, right? That we don't have much choice. It is, our development controls are very rigid. You get a building height and a building boundary, and we consider height is also a boundary. You cannot go beyond that, right? So within that we design, and when we come to SDGs, right? We think of energy, clean energy, renewable energy, and the most difficult part here to understand within the design and urbanization is sustainability. Some very young mind think sustainability is directly related to environment. It doesn't. It comes with project initiation, from the feasibility, from the planning stage. How do we plan? How do we come up with clean energy? How do we procure the building? The building procurement process is a very complex process. In a short session like this, we cannot go in deep, right, like that. In the development of urban areas, there are design and build. That is the most commonly used building procurement to design and build. So, and contract development. Within these procurement codes also, we find difficult to get sustainability, because when we incorporate something like renewable energy, solar panels, or double glazing for windows to resist temperature difference from the environment and the indoor, to maintain the indoor air quality, the temperature, the investment goes high. Then it goes above our budget. There comes the problem. Then we talk, so let's cut down the budget. So we put single glazing, and then we put heavy air conditioning, and then we pay a high electricity bill to the grid. So everything is like connected when we go around our environment, right? So then in my field is, but I have done research in sustainable development area. Bias is more in housing policies and is very thorough with housing. So I try not to talk about it because he is the best person to do it. So I'll pass the mic to Fabrice.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning all. I think this is the first session, so we are also not structured well. But it's okay. It's scheduled well. I would go more macro level, incorporating all these in one, what we call urban development. How we incorporate all these, like feasibility, sustainability, and mobility, and what else was the climate resilience and housing. All this all boil down to urban development, where we want to be, how we want our cities to be built, for who we are designing, for what we are designing. The essence of urban development is all this incorporated, but creating a livable environment, which is economically, socially, and environmentally sustainable. These three has to be there. Only economically viable, socially not viable or feasible, it doesn't work. In an ideal urban setting, these three has to be there. Sustainability in terms of environment, sustainability in terms of environment, I mean climate change included, in terms of financially as well as socially. Now, to bring this all together, there has to be creative models of planning. For example, we see the city of Ulumale, development where we consider the density, how many people we want to be there, living there. That will decide on the mobility need, that will decide on the environmental sustainability need, it will also decide on the economic opportunity need. Thus, just by doing housing is not urban development. Housing, we can do a lot of housing, but that is creating beds. But it has to marry with economic opportunities as well. Where do people go for work? How do people go for work is the mobility part. And then all this together has to be environmentally sustainable. Now you might have noticed that the new reclamations that are happening are 2 meters above sea level. Our islands are on average 1 meter above sea level and flat. And we see sea level rise, we understand sea level rise, we understand new salt inundations into our islands, and high cost of shore protections. So, in order to bring this together, we have to design cities that are able to cater for all this. But this, having said that, it also needs the mobility part, connectivity to the work areas. Now, in cities in other countries, we have to understand urbanization. I think if we had more time, I could have explained how urban cycle works. Because we have to understand the urban cycle in order to design our cities. Mostly, it's very easy if you have AutoCAD, you just draw lines, roads, houses, businesses. But it is based on certain principles of where we put and what we put and how do we incorporate all this. You have seen the Malé, China-Maldives Friendship Bridge between Malé and airport. Why did it come? When did it come? How did it come? And now the new bridge coming. Why is it coming? Why? What is it linking to? All these are very easy to say. Okay, we need a bridge, but how feasible it is, for who it is built, and how useful it is in terms of economic benefit, financial benefits and economic benefits both together. Sometimes social benefit outweighs financial benefit. For example, this bridge here, we will never recover the money if we talk about the financial feasibility. but in terms of social equity and social importance for the people for traveling between for their jobs and for other services, it is self-paying. So all this is balanced based on many factors. It's a very short time. I will not be able to explain all this in this short time. But housing is, in general, is not the first thing when it comes to planning a city. Housing comes second. But many people, often many governments, many CEOs think housing is construction of flats. It's not. For me, I think my background is in housing, and I also studied land policy as well, and urban development, urban management. So, first thing is, if you look at, we see that, like my colleague had said just now, we are indirectly saying people come here because we have all the facilities here, we have all the jobs here, best facilities, best services here. Now, why this happened? Why all the resorts are here around? Some people say it was planned like that. But you should understand, when tourism is our main economic activity, there was one international airport, and so tourism has to grow around that airport, around that area. It means jobs are created around that area. And meaning people come for job, not for housing. Many people who have migrated, like myself, I have a big house in my island, but I moved here not for housing, for education. And then I got stuck here for many other reasons. But the idea is, when we plan, we have to plan for the economic opportunities, and then housing comes as a second one. So when we put economic opportunities first, and then housing second, then we develop sustainable cities. So I will have a.
While you are there, can I ask how livable is Malé city? And because we can see a lot of crowding and rent is going. So since you mentioned about livable, that concept, so how do you think based on your experience, how livable is?
Okay, that's what I said. This should be explained in the context of urban cycle. In an urban cycle, this is inevitable. People moving to cities is not only a phenomenon for Maldives. It is happening everywhere around the world. All the cities are having people move from town, villages to the cities. Urbanization is real, and we have to plan for that. Thing is, we don't accept it, and we keep doing business as usual, but we know that people are moving to cities. According to the UN Habitat data, world populations, 1/3 are already living in cities. And by 2030, we are expecting 50% of the world population to be living in cities. So people are moving, people are migrating. That happens in an urban cycle. What happens is urbanization starts with industrialization. When the jobs are created, when the opportunities are there, urbanization starts from there. Now, when that happens, if it is not properly managed in many cities, not only in Maldives cities, in many cities in Europe as well as in US and in South America as well, there has been a where the cities decay, a decay process, which is like so many people coming in, unplanned developments, unplanned infrastructure, causing many slums in cities. You must have heard the world's largest slum is in Nairobi, Kenya, and the second largest is in India. There, I've been to both places. It is all because of unplanned cities, and we are not expecting that people will not come. We should be seeing the reality. Reality is people move. And because of that, decay process happens. And because of that, people who are well off and who have accessibility to by cars and all, they move to outer cities. It is called urban sprawl. And with them, jobs follow. With them, the poor also move because they need to serve them. Because the rich people can't take the garbage out and somebody has to do it for them. So it moves with them. So the urban sprawl keeps the cities growing bigger and bigger. Unfortunately, our city here in Malé, we are not able to sprawl horizontally. We have sprawled. Malé used to be smaller. We reclaimed and now we have sprawled to the max horizontally. Now we are going vertical sprawl. And when I present a paper in UN Habitat Governing Council, I said there is slums here also that you don't see. I call it slums with a mask. Building facades are nice, but when you go in, you have 5 people sharing one room and all that. So this is created because of unplanned urbanization. We have to understand it happens, cities people will move, so therefore we need to be prepared for it as governments and administrations that come. We need to have policies in place to take care of this properly. If we fail to do this, we come up with urban decay. And urban decay is happening now in Malé. And in many cities in Europe, same thing happened. They moved to new cities happened. If you remember, these nodes are created like Utah and all in the US. These are created out of the slums that are created. And the new cities people move out because those who are well off and have means want to move away and live a better environment. So they move. And with them again the city grows. So in Maurice also we need to understand this. We need to create more cities which have similar, if I had my way, with better facilities than now. And make it happen. Not only facilities, we need to have jobs. Industrialization is the key to urbanization. Even though we develop hospitals, schools in Ireland, people can't stay there because there's no job. So industrialization is key. If we want to create new cities, we need to create more jobs, more economic opportunity. That is the key, not housing. Housing comes as a second. When people move, they need housing. But for people to move, and there, industrialization is key.
Thank you. I think it's personally it's very nice to hear kind of concept of this. Obviously, it's not what's happening. It's part of what you just described. It seems to be very part of this resistance, I guess. And obviously, you talk of the need for creating better cities to depopulate the congested areas. For example, I recently heard that the Maldives fertility rate is 1.7, which means the population is beyond or decreasing. And if you look at the population pyramid, the lower bulk is shrinking and the middle is expanding. So how would you envisage future development of these cities?
In a way, it is good to have a bulging middle for a while. Okay? which is, some of you may not understand, but that means if we look at the population pyramid, when we have people who are working in a working population, which is in the middle, and we have the young people and we have the elderly, right? So if you look at the population pyramid, if we have a bigger bulge in the middle, is good. That means more working population and less dependent population. But it is for a while, meaning that if we are not able to properly plan our population, we will have an aging population very soon, meaning less people to work, more people to depend. That will create a worse situation. So, in a way, when the working population is bigger, this is an opportunity for governments and others to create economic opportunity. SMEs is one of the key things that is important. Make this population economically active and productive, which will lead to sustainable businesses, sustainable economic opportunities for people to come there. Now, in many cities where the population is significant, like Japan, for instance, yes, Singapore is another example. Italy, many cities have this issue now. Is are facing, and they are encouraging people to come. They don't want old people to come. They don't want kids to come. They want working populations to come because they want productive people. So, if we also we are in the juncture where we need to plan our population. We need to see what is going on, how our change in population and change in the dynamics of this population change is accommodated to make sure that our future is sustained. We have to understand, okay, the housing and the other means of development is catered for a sustainable population. How do we do that is also, again, we may also have to ask people to move it. We may have to get the people to, especially economically well-off people and economically productive people to come and to make our economy going. As you know, that we need people for the economy to run itself. There is a rule of thumb which says for a basic economy to keep going like in an island, we need at least 50,000 people to make it going sustainably. Now, if you look at our islands and our so-called cities in other cities that we have named cities, there isn't enough population to make that happen. And we should encourage ways to have that happen. Then only we have sustainable economy.
When we talk about urbanization and market congestion and population density, if you Google also, you can see we are very congested. Per square kilometer, there's no specific recommended population density, but it's rather around 5,000 or 5,000 plus for a sustainable, serviceable population to stay. It's per square kilometer. But we have reached about 25,000 now. And the disadvantage for us is, like Faiz said, we have a confined land space, right? Then we have the oceans. So the other thing is the limitations that we created. Some of common our residents also doesn't understand is why building height is controlled. That's not because our soil cannot bear this building. It's to control the population density. You go up to 6th floor, then your population density don't go so much. When you go to near airports, 7,000 people will come down. When you go to some building near Male, 20 people will come down because building height is lower. That is 25 or the towers. So one of the factors people try to limit population density is by building height control. And the other thing is school sessions that could be changed, single sessions, so people don't migrate to the double schooling. Now, when you have a night session, my kid will go to the night session, I will move to Male. So morning session is full, afternoon session is full, the night session is there. So I will come with my family to Male, I will remain in my so-called masked slum, and I send my kid to an international school. So basically, when we talk about the design and everything, very recently I have worked in a very huge development. And what we did was to get the statistics right, number of units to a certain housing. Faiz will be aware of what I am talking about. Number of housing units. I initially designed, the conceptualized a very comfortable area going up to 12 stories, but later we changed it to towers with 550 square. And that definitely put us into a so-called shoebox living, right? So this is not actually our culture. In more even cultural aspects, we think we have a badige, we have a car, we have a beer, we have a veranda. We live very happily, right? But we get confined spaces, and now we are in a two-room, and the balcony is not mine, the walkway is not mine, the storage is not mine. Only that 2 room and 2 toilets barely I have. That is what I have. From where to where we have migrated from 90, when we think of from 90s to 2025. Where have we migrated? So, as I said, we are not actually having the problem of housing. We are having a problem of economic opportunity. When we have that economic opportunity, nobody would come to Malé, though, right?
Pull factors and push factors.
Yeah, we have like magnetic effect here.
I think just one, after hectare, we.
I'll take one.
Okay, so my actual question is phase 2 moving towards being a success, or you think it's just gonna get worse and worse? Because I noticed a lot of people are moving to phase 2, and it's more and more people, and the opportunities in phase 2 itself are not very abundant. There are very few.
Yeah, when we start phase 2, we try to always, when initially we come with the idea of telling people, okay, Malé is congested, we will move some Malé people, we have that. So decongest Malé, they have a comfortable living space at Malé. But in reality what happens is, Malé people who stayed in Malé stayed there, Yaflet goes to rent, Yaflet becomes a labor quarter, and there are some units, 2 shifts, they live 2 shifts, yeah. So when the place is good in what you say, sustainably developed, we need to have green space, we need to have renewable energy source, we need to access to commuting or metro or some transportation, and we need, then we talk about, you must have heard 15-minute cities, right? To my shop and my workplace and everywhere is 15 minutes. But we are so close by, but we cannot walk. It's impossible, right? So I don't think if we doesn't change our approach to this problem, this densification, we could solve this problem.
Can I add to that before?
It is going to get better. Okay? It is going to get better. The good news is that what you see right now is only, that's what I said. When we focus too much on housing, we end up building beds. Phase 2 has been planned for a very good city. Was, I would rather say. It has been modified a bit, but it will not get like Malé. Okay? There are green spaces planned. It is not happening. Okay? There are mobility mechanisms and systems planned. It is just not happening. Everybody is focusing on housing. Okay, that is why we are seeing only housing. There are green space, there are play areas, it's going to be much better than what we see now. We see only problem because when the here flats came, it was only here. And we started running with, we got a bunch of GA sheets and we built a temporary mosque. We got a roofing sheet and we built a temporary school. And we got another sheet of roofing sheet and then we built a market. And so that's not how housing is. Many people see housing as a product. Housing is not a product. It is a misunderstanding. Housing is a process. House is a product. So if we build house, then this happens. Housing is a livable environment. Easy access to housing and facilities and all that. So It's not just a house. And that's why our focus in many government is building flats. And it's housing. And then we do flats. And you see Ulmale phase 2 is all flats. But if you see Ulmale phase 1, it is different. It was housing was developed, not house. So, but when the house phase 2 is completed, it's going to be better. It will have all the facilities, it will have the school and mobility, access to transport, and there are also overhead trains planned for Ulmale phase 1 and phase 2 linking. So when all this happen, it will be a better city than most of the cities that we see in this region.
Since we are running out of time, I can see a number of things. I think one last question. Unfortunately, is sort of yes.
I just have few. Just 2 points. I just, Faiz mentioned about industrialization. Perhaps it's you mean when employment. And if you have employment, people probably will go with other facilities like education, and so on. But I just was thinking, when thinking of urbanization, is that only creating cities like Male? Urbanization is, there has to be, I thought, somewhere middle ground where you can. That's one question. The second one is perhaps, I don't know, if it is the right time to ask this. Are you thinking of, I don't know, is in this country, are we thinking of floating architecture?
Actually, sorry, I will give Nizna because she has been there for a while. I missed it.
I just wanted to make a point, since we have a lot of young people here also. Like 30 years ago, I would have been one of the students sitting listening to these papers, and I didn't see any of these as a problem. I lived in a house with open space, trees, I climbed the trees, played with my neighbor kids, friends, and now I live in Ulmale phase 1, one of these elite apartments, but still we have garbage coming from the top floor, even Rakpuru. So all these are things I'm dealing with, and now I see a problem. And about getting better, I don't see if things are going the way they are, it's going to get better. But I think you guys can make it better. Now you are here, you are aware of these problems, so once you are at a stage where now I've been in the technical field for a long time, trying to make things better, but things always happen on the whim of someone always, even though we try to say we know what's right. So I'm hoping you guys can in the future make things better.
Quick response and then
Mizna has a very good point. Actually, we can do buildings looking good. We as a people also need to develop. We are still struggling to understand this condominium type of living, because my wall is your wall, my ceiling is somebody's floor. But we still don't know how to. I can give you an example. When Male here started, that is the blue and pink building somewhere here. The people who were living in the same building were destroying the same lift that they carried up and down. They do drawings and all that. And then, so that's the level that we don't understand. If you look at the plumbing system, the top floor's toilet plumbing is in the ceiling of this floor. So there are many cases where the people who are living downstairs will not allow the service people, don't come into my apartment. This is my apartment. So we as the people also need to develop ourselves, our level of thinking and our level of living in an urban city. Like Mizu said, very important that people also develop in that. I have a quick response to Dr. Anwar's point. Yes, it's true. We have to, Male is not the ideal city. Ulmale may not be the ideal city. In an ideal city like Kollam mentioned, we need to have a very balanced density, which will be able to cater for the services in there. Where there will be enough schools, accessibility, parks and all space enough for people. But what happens is when we put too many people in one place, services not become enough. And therefore, the ideal city doesn't come in picture. For the ideal city to come, there are a lot of things to happen. I was asked once by the Human Rights Commission, Faiz, what is the solution to the housing problem we have? You are the man, so please. I said, how can we solve a problem that doesn't exist? And everybody was surprised. We don't have a housing problem.
We don't have housing.
I said, we don't have a housing problem. When we studied urbanization, urban management, there are ways and techniques to identify the problem and the cause of the problem. We have to address the cause of the problem. Unless we address the cause, we'll never get. For example, we get fever and we take Panadol. It will go away, but it will come back. There's another issue. I have an infection somewhere. Until I take the antibiotics, the fever will keep on coming. And if I take Panadol 3-5 kilos even, one day it will not go away. So, the housing problem is that we see is actually a cause, not a cause, it's an effect of another problem, which is the development problem that we have.
When we see the statistics, our number of our households and number of our houses, there is a balance. But the thing is, the concentration to the Malay region is too much. Only solution we can have for our infrastructure and the development of the nation is decentralized. Regionally, we develop different areas, focusing on different types of industries. That's the only way we can go do a good thing to the Maldives. And I think the young minds would do this in the future.
I'm really sorry, I can see it's really engaging, very exciting there. I can still see some hands, but unfortunately we still got one more session. We continue the session, so we will have to finish it here. And thank you very much, Faizan, for giving such an insightful, justifying on the questions we have asked. And it's very insightful. Thank you. And I would like to invite Rector to give away the certificates of the speakers. Muhammad Faiz.
So nice. And I was headmaster of Nigeria school and Faiz was in secondary school.
Exactly. Okay. Thank you. Okay, everyone, we will move on to another very exciting speakers. Thank you.